To divest ourselves of the idea that, you know, we are somehow better, and, you know, we are the city on the hill, which is what the first governor of Massachusetts, Tom Winthrop, said. We are the... Reagan also said that. Well, Reagan said lots of things, you know. But we are, you know, we're, you know, everybody looks to... No. We're an empire, like other empires. There was a British Empire, and there was a Russian Empire, there was a German Empire, and a Japanese Empire, and a French and a Belgian Empire, the Dutch Empire, and the Spanish Empire, and now there's the American Empire. And our empire. And when we look at those empires, we say, oh, imperialism. But our empire, no. Yeah, there was one sort of scholar who wrote in the New York Times, he said, we are an empire light. Light? Tell that to the people of Iraq. Tell that to the people in Afghanistan. You know, we are an empire light? No, we are heavy. Well, all you have to do is look at our history, and you'll see, no, our history does not show a beneficent country doing good all over the world. Our history shows expansion. Our history shows expansion. It shows us, it shows us moving into doubling our territory with the Louisiana Purchase, which I remember on our schoolroom maps looked very benign. Oh, there's all that empty land, and now we have it. It wasn't empty. There were people living there. There were Indian tribes. Hundreds of Indian tribes were living there. You see, and if it's going to be ours, we got to get rid of them, and we did. And then, you know, and we instigated a war with Mexico in 1848, 1846 to 1848. And at the end of the war, we'd take almost half of Mexico, you know. And why? Well, we wanted that land. That's very simple. We want things. There's a drive of nations that have the power and the capacity to bully other nations, tendency to expand into the areas that those other nations have. We see it all over the world. And the United States has done that again and again. And, you know, and then we expanded into the Caribbean, and then we expanded out into the Pacific. And of course, you know, in the 20th century, expanding our influence in Europe and Asia, and now in the Middle East, everywhere. This power. For what? To do good things for these other people? Or is it because we coveted? When I say we, I don't mean to include you and me. But I've gotten, you know, they've gotten us so used to identifying with the government. You know, like to say we, like the janitor at General Motors says we. No. No, the CEO of General Motors and the janitor are not we. No, we're not. Exceptionalism is one part of the mindset we have to get rid of. We have to see ourselves honestly for what we are. We're an empire like other empires who is aggressive and brutal and violent as the Belgians were in the Congo, as the British were in India, and all these other empires. Yeah, we're just like them. We have to face it. When you face that, you sober up a little, and then you don't think you can just go all over the world and say, oh, we're doing this for liberty and democracy. Because then, if you know your history, you know how many times that was said. Oh, we're going into the Philippines to bring civilization and Christianity to the Filipinos. We're going to bring civilization to the Mexicans, etc., etc. No. You'll understand that. That's one element in this mindset. And then, of course, when you say this, when you say these things, when you go back into the history, when you try to give an honest recounting of what we have been, not we really, what the government has done, our government has done. People haven't done it. People We're just people. The government does these things, and then they try to include us and involve us in their criminal conspiracy. You know, we didn't do this, but they're dragooning us into this. But when you start criticizing, and you start making an honest assessment of what we have done in the world, they say you're being unpatriotic. Well, you have to, that's another part of the mindset you have to get rid of. Because if you don't, then you think you have to wear a flag in your lapel, or you think you have to always have American flags around you, and you have to show by your love for all this meaningless paraphernalia that you are patriotic. Well, that's, you know. Oh, there too, an honest presidential candidate would not be afraid to say, you know, patriotism is not a matter of wearing a flag in your lapel, not a matter of this or that. Patriotism is not supporting the government. Patriotism is supporting the principles that the government is supposed to stand for. Yeah, so we need to redefine these things which we have which have been thrown at us and which we've imbibed without thinking, not thinking, oh, what really is patriotism? If we start really thinking about what it is, then we will reject those cries that you're not patriotic, and we'll say, patriotism is not supporting the government. When the government does bad things, the most patriotic thing you can do is to criticize the government, because that's the Declaration of Independence. That's our basic democratic charter, the Declaration of Independence. It says governments are set up by the people they're artificial creations. They're set up to ensure certain rights, the equal right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. So when governments become destructive of those ends, the Declaration said it is the right of the people to alter or abolish the government. That's our basic democratic charter. People have forgotten what it is. It's okay to alter or abolish the government when the government violates its trust. And then you are being patriotic. And when the government violates its trust, the government is being unpatriotic. So, yeah, so we have to think about these, you know, these words and phrases that are thrown us at giving us a time to think, and, you know, we have to redefine these words like, you know, national security. What is national security? Well, you say, well, this is for national security. Oh, that takes care of it. No, it doesn't take care of it. For national security means different things to different people. There's some people, national security means having military bases all over the world. For other people, national security means having health care, having jobs. You know, that's security, you know. So, yeah, we need to sort of redefine these things, you know. We need to redefine terrorism. Otherwise, you know, otherwise the government can throw these words at us. Oh, we're fighting against terrorism. Oh, well, then I guess we have to do this. Wait a while, what do you mean by terrorism? Well, we sort of have an idea what terrorism means. Terrorism means that you kill innocent people for some belief that you have. Yeah, you know, sure. Blowing up of 9/11, that was terrorist. But if that's the definition of terrorism, killing innocent people for some belief you have, then war is terrorism.
Howard Zinn, the legendary historian, author of People's History of the United States, and much more. He was speaking at Binghamton University. If you'd like a copy of today's broadcast, you can go to our website at democracynow.org. We'll come back to the conclusion of his address in a minute.
Something's happening here. What it is
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we return to historian Howard Zinn's first speech after the 2008 election, the author of A People's History of the United States discusses the election, war, peace, and what this country symbolizes to the rest of the world.
We have to stop thinking that solutions to problems are military solutions, that you can solve problems with violence. You don't really solve problems with violence. We have to change our definitions of heroism. Heroism in American culture so far, really, when people think of heroism, they think of military heroes. They think of the people whose statues are all over the country, you know. And they think of medals and battles, and yeah, these are military heroes, and that's why Obama goes along with that definition of hero by referring to John McCain as a military hero, always feeling that he must do that. I never felt he must do that. John McCain, to my mind, and I know that this is a tough thing to accept and may make some people angry, John McCain was tortured and bore up under torture and was a victim of torture and imprisonment, and you know, takes fortitude to do that. He's not a military hero. Before he was imprisoned, he dropped bombs on innocent people. He did what the other members of the Air Force did. They dropped bombs on peasant villages and killed a lot of innocent people. I don't consider that heroism. So we have to redefine. To me, the great heroes are the people who have spoken. Those are the heroes, you know. And so, well, I think, yeah, I think we have to change our mindset. We have to understand certain thought about enough. I think one of the things we haven't thought about enough, because this is basic and this is crucial, we haven't realized, or at least expressed it consciously, that the government's interests are not the same as our interests, really. And so when they talk about the national interest, they're creating what Kurt Vonnegut used to call a grand falloon. A grand falloon was a meaningless abstraction in which you put things together that don't belong together. You see, national security, and national interest. No, there's no one national interest. There's the interest of the President of the United States, and then the interest of the young person he sends to war. They're different interests, you see. No, there's the interest of Exxon and Halliburton, and there's the interest of the worker, the nurse's aide, the teacher, the factory worker. Those are different interests. Once you recognize that you and the government have different interests, that's a very important step forward in your thinking, because if you think you have a common interest with the government, well, then it means that if the government says you must do this and you must do that, and it's a good idea to go to war here, well, the government is looking out for my interest. No, the government is not looking out for your interest.